Thor Part 2. So far we have checked how to put together the oscillators and route them through these two filters, mixer and shaper. Now it's time to start checking some other sound modifiers such as filters, envelopes and LFOs. Let's take for example LFO number 1. Remember, rate is going to be the speed of the LFO. Delay is going to delay the time of action of the LFO. Keyboard follow is going to increase or decrease the amount of LFO according to your position in your MIDI keyboard. Let's start by choosing the waveform. Several different types of waveform to choose from. Let's stick to this one. As you remember, an LFO it's a waveform that will modify other parameters of your synthesizers. For example, the pitch, the filter, the volume. Now, I want to assign this LFO to my filter number 1, to the filter frequency. How should I do that? Let's play the sound first to see what we got. Let's tweak the LFO. First thing, I wanted to synchronize to my tempo and set it to 8-note triplets. To assign this LFO to my filter 1 frequency, I have to use the connections here on this modulator patching section. Here you set a source, amount, and destination. The source is going to be what modifies the sound. In this case, my LFO number 1. Click and hold and select LFO number 1 as the source. The destination is going to be the filter cutoff or filter frequency of my filter number 1. Click and hold. Filter 1 frequency. And now I have to set the amount of modulation here. Let's do it at a 75%. Let's play. You can hear that shimmer, that type of vibration here, changing rate. That's my LFO, altering the filter frequency. I'm going to choose a different destination now. Instead of filter frequency, let's try now the pitch of oscillator number 2. So that's how you patch your sound modifiers into some other synth parameters. The same thing with an envelope. Here, for example, we have this filter envelope. Let's tweak it a little bit. And let's assign this filter envelope to filter number 2. Source, filter envelope. Destination, filter 2. My X and Y axis, let's go for X. Amount. My amplitude envelope, of course, is going to control the volume of my sound. For a more percussive effect. Fast attack, short decay and sustain, no release. But it can also be assigned to some other parameters. So the amplitude envelope can control whatever I program here. How about if I use the amplitude envelope to modify the speed of my LFO? You can hear the different speeds happening there. So this is such a flexible method because until now we could assign, for example, velocity or the filter cutoff to a preset and given number of parameters. Now we can pretty much assign anything to anything we want. We have a second LFO here. Let's choose a waveform, random square, free rate, and we're going to use it as a source. Let's choose it as a source, LFO2, and with it we're going to modify filter frequency of filter 1. Generous amount. Let's check it out. Listen especially at the end of the note how you have two LFOs with square waveforms sounding at the same time. The random square waveform is altering the lower frequencies of this filter, and LFO1 is being much more obvious because it's modifying the pitch of oscillator number 2. So that's how you keep programming here your functions however you need it. You even have a couple of auxiliary knobs, rotary 1 and rotary 2, and 2 buttons that you can assign to different functions. Source, modifiers, rotary 1. That's my source. The destination is going to be, again, the pitch of oscillator number 2. Amount. For this to take effect, of course, I have to tweak the rotary 1 knob. In the same way, you can assign buttons a second rotary knob and some parameters of the sequencer that we're going to check on the next video. To finish this one, let's take a look at the built-in effects. We have a built-in delay before and after. It fattens up the sound considerably. You can synchronize it to your tempo. So let's set this to 16 notes. Feedback, or the amount of repetitions. Modulation, if you want to modulate the echo, let's put a lot of amount. You can hear the echo being modulated. We also have a built-in chorus. Again, it enriches the sound. Let's get rid of the delay for now. And here are your settings. Chorus feedback, rate, and amount of modulation, dry and wet. Here we have a place for filter number 3, or the master filter, that if you follow your arrows here, you will see that it's going to filter everything that you have mixed and treated so far regarding the filters and oscillators. So let's add a master filter there. Let's add a comb filter. We have a global envelope here that can be assigned to any other parameters, and LFO2. So far we've covered oscillators, filter, how to put them together, and how to assign envelopes and LFOs to these different components of the synthesizer. Again, remember the arrows. Remember that you don't have to have 3 oscillators at the same time of all the filters. You can leave stuff out if you want to. That's quite interesting, actually. And in the next video, we're going to check out Thor's sequencer. That is really cool.